Imagine fighting the same person for 7.5 hours straight. This is unimportant.
Guaranteed to not change your life. This is the Unimportant Podcast.
Welcome to the Unimportant Podcast. My name is Anthony. That is Jobob. Today we are talking about marriage.
Oh,
You said we're fighting for 7.5 hours? That's what we're talking about?
Okay.
No, really, what are we talking
That
about?
was funny. We're talking about boxing, actually, but, same.
Boxing is definitely discouraged in marriage.
Highly. I think you can go to jail for that sort of thing.
Yep. That's what I've been told. No personal experience there.
In 1893, there was a boxing match that lasted 110 rounds.
What?
Yeah, so boxing, for those unfamiliar,
How long is it supposed to be?
well, so nowadays, like 12. And that's like a good fight. And so this is actually one of my gripes with boxing nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So, like, Floyd Mayweather, right, makes hundreds of millions of dollars every time he fights.
He's rich for a few months every time he fights.
One of the best, well, not one of the best, arguably, well, not even arguably, the best pound-for-pound boxer of all time. I haven't seen him knock a guy out in a long time. I mean,
I don't think he has. I don't know that much about boxing, but he's known to be a tactical fighter.
He's a very tactical fighter, and he wins mostly on points,
Right.
which, to me, making all that kind of money, I kind of want to see somebody go down.
Right.
I understand the whole damage to the brain and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but that's their choice.
But yeah, if you're making,
If you're not, like, let's think about this too. If you're crazy enough to get in the ring, how much crazier are you going to get? Like,
I just know that if someone was going to offer me $100 million to fight somebody until one of us wasn't able to fight anymore, I'd be like, yeah,
sure.
I don't care who it was.
Yeah.
$100 million, yeah, I'll get knocked out. Whatever.
You might even fight me.
100%. And then I'd guaranteed not get knocked out. But 110 rounds with these two guys named Jack Burke and Andy Bowen. So the match lasted 7.5 hours, which is crazy to me. So they didn't have this 12-round limit, right? It was just we're gonna fight until somebody is no longer able to fight.
The only way we're getting out of here is if somebody gets knocked out, which basically was the rules.
Again, I kind of agree. Well, I think it's more entertaining if that's the case.
Yeah, it's not entertaining if it's 8 hours long.
So
nothing. What is entertaining for 8 hours?
The referee ended
There is literally nothing that's entertaining for 8 hours.
The referee ended up stopping the fight because, one, both men were obviously kind of out of it, kind of getting glazed over and not really, into it as much. He thought that, their safety might be at risk. He also noticed that many of the audience had either left or fallen asleep. Which, in 1890,
going back to my point, nothing is interesting for that long.
In 1893, I would imagine that there's not a lot going on, so there's a lot less avenues for entertainment.
That is true.
Having said that, I don't think I could watch a boxing match for 7.5 hours. That just seems nuts to me. Jack Burke broke all of the bones in both of his hands.
What?
Yeah, and remained bedridden for 6 weeks after the fight, which is nuts. The whole thing is nuts.
Obviously, the question here is why.
Well,
what?
So the purse was $2,500, which is
probably a lot.
A lot of money. I didn't do the adjusted for inflation one on this one, but that's a lot of money.
Probably well over $100,000.
They ended up splitting it at the end of the day.
Okay.
But 6 weeks in bed and breaking all of the hands or all of the bones in your hands. I don't know if I would do that for all that much money. But yeah, it's just insane. Now, neither of these guys ended up making it to a very old age.
Shocker. Shocker.
Andy Bowen died the next year at the age of 27.
Okay.
Because I think he got in another 40-round fight, which is just nuts. Like, after reading this, I understand why boxers have limits to these sorts of things. As a fan, I would like to see it go until it's finished, because you can have a fight where people dance around each other and score tactical points and make $100 million. And I go, ugh. But yeah, so the other guy, Jack Burke, I believe died at 41. So not
Again, no surprise.
Not very long living after this, but 110 rounds. Give it to them. They hold the record, and I can't imagine that that's going to be broken anytime soon.
I doubt it.
This is unimportant.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the podcast. Hopefully you didn't learn anything important. We know we didn't. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you want more.